A couple of days ago, Tom Henderson, who's a renowned insider, published a new report on Dragon Age Dreadwolf. Citing anonymous sources, Henderson said the game still had its remnants of its previous live service incarnation, before BioWare changed course back to making it a single player only role-playing game. By the way, they also did the same thing for the next Mass Effect game. This was probably more likely due to the fact that obviously Anthem flopped and Mass Effect Andromeda's multiplayer flopped, so they wanted a more back to roots approach for the next Mass Effect and Dragon Age games. And in this video I'll go over the report whilst also seeing what it means for not only for Dragon Age Dreadwolf but for the next Mass Effect game.
Lockhart QT.
In the report, it states that the next Dragon Age, its gameplay loop is said to be similar to previous games, where a central hub would feature all recruited companions and allies of the main character, similar to the Normandy in Mass Effect as well as the Tower in Destiny and Borderlands' Sanctuary. According to the report, players will venture out from the hub into the missions via a mirrored portal. But arguably the most interesting tidbit concerns the combat system. BioWare appears to have dropping the ability to directly control any party members, which has been a franchise staple since its inception. Instead, players would be giving them orders, similar to like Mass Effect for example. From the recently leaked Dragon Age Dreadwolf gameplay, we can also see that the inspiration clearly comes from 2018's God of War, and the leaker from Reddit states that this was intentional in development by BioWare. The report ends with Henderson stating that placeholder text and missing voice lines hint at a possible delay going into 2024, and I'll go on later in the video how this will affect Mass Effect. However, Henderson admits that he was not given concrete information and the game internally is still set for 2023/early 2024. Basically what happened was Tom Henderson got in touch with a couple of leakers via Reddit. Also, if you don't know, I've also done a recent video going over the leaked video footage of actual real gameplay of Dragon Age Dreadwolf, and the user who got to play and see the gameplay basically praised the combat but complained about the current state of the facial animations. He said the following: "Combat is great, cutscenes are decent, best ever as far as BioWare is concerned, which should be a given. What's not great are the facial animations. Granted, the game isn't done yet and might be far from done, who knows. But as of right now, it's Andromeda 2.0 basically." Officially, BioWare said Dragon Age Dreadwolf had reached alpha in October 2022, with the next Mass Effect still in development and pre-alpha. The studio's previous games were launched less than a year after getting to this milestone, which would hint at a possible late 2023 launch/2024 launch. Although, as I said earlier, it might slip into early 2024. After all, Anthem was released in February and January. So the question all you Mass Effect fans are having is, why does the development of Dreadwolf impact the next Mass Effect game? But as for the next Mass Effect, this will also basically cause a domino knock-on effect, as if Dragon Age Dreadwolf is basically delayed, then the next Mass Effect game will be sadly delayed in its development as well, as I imagine that once development is concluded with Dragon Age Dreadwolf, some of the team will then move over to the next Mass Effect game, hence why, because BioWare do that quite a lot. I mean, essentially, after BioWare was completely finished with Anthem, when they scrapped Anthem 2.0, they went straight away and just moved all of those teams onto Dragon Age and the next Mass Effect games. And in terms of the leaked video gameplay footage of the next Dragon Age, from what I've seen, the animations and combat look really good. Obviously they're nowhere near finished, but this gives me hope for both Dragon Age Dreadwolf and Mass Effect 4. As in my opinion, Andromeda's combat was really good. It wasn't perfect, but it was really good. In my opinion, Andromeda's main base layer gameplay and combat is the best in the Mass Effect series. Obviously Andromeda completely faulted in loads of other areas, but I'd like to see that expanded upon whilst also bringing in some fan favourite features returning from the OG trilogy. As for Dreadwolf, the gameplay is more akin to God of War, hack and slash, like Devil May Cry, that sort of thing, and personally I think that's really good. I mean, most people are actually comparing it to Final Fantasy 16 and 7 Remake as well as Final Fantasy 15, and I love those combat systems. I think they're brilliant. I think it would really suit an RPG like Dragon Age to have your spells on like a command deck, and then you're hacking and slashing away. But I'm really a fan of sort of the Final Fantasy VII Remake approach, where it's sort of a best of both worlds, where you're locking onto enemies, you're dodging attacks, you're hitting weak points, you're using different weapons, but at the same time you've also got healing magic, you've got fire, lightning, etc. And I really hope Dragon Age goes with that route as well. As for the next Mass Effect game, this could be, for example, where you're attacking enemies, you could be doing biotic powers, flamethrowers, grenades, etc. But at the same time you could be shooting enemies like shotguns, and you can also have melee combat with Asari swords and melee weapons as well. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and tell me in the comments below, do you think that if Dragon Age Dreadwolf is delayed, do you think the next Mass Effect will be as well? Because previously I was thinking a 2024 release date for the next Mass Effect, but it looks like now it may be pushed back to 2025, 2026. And would you prefer a combat style similar to the original trilogy, or Mass Effect Andromeda? And as for Dragon Age Dreadwolf, do you think that if it should be hack and slash, or do you think it should more be the RPG route, where you're clicking on an enemy and then you just sort of got commands where you're not really actually playing, you're more like actually just like basically like an MMO, for example, like Final Fantasy XIV, World of Warcraft, that sort of combat? And do you guys like the leaked gameplay shown off for Dragon Age Dreadwolf? I know a lot of people haven't seen it, and I haven't really spoiled a whole lot here other than the fact that it's hack and slash, but if you guys want to go check it out, I've got a link in the description of my previous video which actually shows the gameplay. Anyway everyone, thank you so much for watching, and for more Dragon Age content as well as Mass Effect content, consider subscribing and liking the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.